Episode number 3. Yippee! Hiya. So it's me again, and today we are back with the Champion Legion series. Our short-lived Marksman arc has come to an end. The Marksman is already 275. Granted, the Marksman was already over level 270 when I first started this series, so we knew that this arc was going to be short-lived to begin with. Granted, I still got a lot of farming done, and I got a lot of XP, resources, and meso that came out of it, and it was enough to get my Khali's drop gear done, at least for now, which has given me the space to start saving for 5, 10, 15, but because of all the farming I've done on my Marksman, we've kind of had to take a step back on the farming and chill for a little bit. So I took that time to look at my other 3 champions and see what I could do for them. Because obviously, if I can get their gear at least a little bit started and get them a little bit stronger, then I can maybe start finding trades on those characters to get their equips so that as they progress, they struggle a lot less on the content that they are progressing towards. Here we are on the star of the show for today's week, the Marksman. As you can see, he's chilling in Shangri-La, getting that wonderful autumn breeze. Nothing has really changed on this character besides the fact that it is level 275, which means that I do have a Shangri-La symbol. I did use some of my tier Nog symbols to get some initial levels on the Shangri-La symbol so that doing my dailies here isn't painful. Which has given this character damage because obviously it's an extra 900 stat. And my Arcane Force is finished. Besides that, gear-wise, familiar-wise, nothing has changed. And I have tacked a little bit of XP onto 275 as well. But that's because I am continuing to do the epic dungeon on this character and my Cannoneer until my Khali hits 270. For 2 main reasons. Number 1 being that Angular Company is just so much faster than High Mountain. And the second being that it also just gives more rewards, which is still good for these characters even though they are level 275. Just because they are level 275, it doesn't mean that I'm done with these characters or that I don't want to progress on them. I'm just keeping them here until all of my characters are 275 before I start looking beyond that point. In case if anybody's curious, this character's combat power when fully decked out goes to 54 mil combat power. I did change my inner ability a little bit. I've been trying to use circulators on it to try to hit the right lines. And I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of given up and just settled for this for now, which is 9 boss and 15 crit. I would have loved to see both be near their maximum, but we'll have to take what we can get for now. And since we're here, my Odium symbol actually levels up today. So, paying our taxes. That is a level 6 Odium symbol, which puts us at 230, which means that when we get one other symbol level and a Shangri-La level, we will be at 250 Sacred, which means that I'll actually be doing max damage against Saren on this character, which is awesome. Really looking forward to that eventually when I get there. But for now, we're kind of just chilling. Now, before I actually stop talking about the Marksman, I want to show you guys its Hexa Matrix. After I've stopped grinding, we have 16 points in Hexa Snipe, 15 in Split Shot, 9 in Piercing Arrow, 4 in the Origin, and 9 in Repeating Crossbow Cartridge. We also have Hexa Stat unlocked, 5, 5, 10. Kinda but I don't really care. Now, through Angular Company, I will eventually get this to level 10, and when I do, we're going to start going back to the Cannoneer and throwing Angular Company on that instead. Because once this thing gets its repeating crossbow cartridge, Throwing Angular Company on this won't yield really good returns because getting Piercing Arrow up is expensive and doesn't really do much. And Snipe and Split Shot are good, but 2 weeks for a very minuscule upgrade doesn't really seem worth it. Considering that Cannoneer has a lot of its damage packed into 2 abilities, makes it a lot more impactful to get more frags on that. Which is why after I get Repeating Cost per cartridge up because of the level 10 threshold, we're gonna go on the Cannoneer, throw Angular Company on that. But I will say, after getting the damage Black Bean Mark, after finishing my symbols and unlocking the Shangri-La symbol, my clears on C10 have gone relatively faster. The whole round of bosses takes me roughly around 90 minutes. A little bit longer, like it's still not perfect yet, but I'm sure with 5, 10, 15, this character will be able to do it within 90. I still have a CRA piece that's not even at 21 stars, and I have been building an absolute army of reinforced earrings to try to go for 21 star earrings as well. So that's gonna be like our main goal on this character, I'd say, is to finish the hat. I would love to see it be 21, but if I have to settle 19, that's also okay. And then the earrings, I don't want to settle for anything less than 20 stars. So at least getting a reinforced earring to 21. And that should be a significant damage boost to this character. I might also spend time cubing the items that are still at 12% stat.
Oh my God.
I mean, this is at 9, this isn't even at 12. So I still have a lot of room to get damage through potentials as well, which also might be a relatively cheap way to get damage. But that's going to be our plan for 5, 10, 15 on this character. I'm going to be honest, I've done nothing to the Cannoneer for the past 2 weeks. But one thing I will say is that my Cannoneer did get its first Arcane spare, which is pretty awesome. It also got a Roar 4 spare, which is interesting. But besides that, the only real plans that I have for this Cannoneer is to rank up this pendant potential-wise because it's still epic, which is really funny. And to 17 star the Arcane Cape for the 5, 10, 15 that's coming up. That's all I can really say about this character. Nothing much has changed. I'm kind of happy with the spot that my Cannoneer is in right now. It clears everything in a speed that is relatively comfortable for me. And this is where the majority of the yapping is going to be in this video, because a lot of the efforts that I've put towards during this week have actually been on the Khali instead of the Marksman. Granted, the Marksman I did farm on a lot, but a lot of the Marksman's efforts went towards this character. So initially, let's talk about the first thing that we were trying to complete last week, which is the 6th job. The Hexa Matrix is now wonderfully colored and not incomplete. We have unlocked Astra and Burst, and we've gotten quite a few levels into Void Rush, Blitz, and Chakram Split. I personally feel like this is the most important ability for both mobbing and bossing, which is why I've put a very strong focus on it for right now. Once I hit level 9, I'm going to take a second to see what I want to level besides this, because Khali does have a more even damage distribution in comparison to Cannoneer, for example. So it might be more worth for me to put my points or my fragments elsewhere. And maybe even go into Hexastat, because Hexastat is just more damage across the entire class, which if the class gets its damage from a lot of different abilities, then the effectiveness of Hexastat might fluctuate depending on that, right? Besides the Hexa Matrix, another thing that I said I was going to accomplish last week was working on this character's drop gear. Now, I spent a lot of money trying to make this happen. I want to say at least over 30 bill just throwing cubes and seeing what I could get and what I could accomplish. with the weekly money that I earned and all the money that I earned from my marksman farming. And we've ended up with 160 drop rate and 100 meso. The issue is, as much as I do like this ratio, at least for right now, if I ever do want to go vertically higher on this character in terms of drop rate, I need to go specifically for double drop equips. Because this character has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 hybrids, which means that there's no real space for me to get any sort of meso lines on any other equips anymore. It has to be only drop lines. And all of my rings have drop lines besides the one that is a hybrid. So in order for me to get more drop rate, I either have to make another pendant, which I don't want to because I really like Spirit of the Pendant, or keeping second pendants open for things like Greed Pendant, for example. Which means that in order for me to go all the way up, I have to spend a lot more meso, because double drop is obviously a lot more expensive than just a hybrid. Which is kind of the reason why I'm starting to save meso for 5, 10, 15, because I personally feel like that's a lot more important. As much as I do want the drop rate to get more frags than node stones, I'm kind of just going to have to bank on the fact that maybe one of my familiars will cash out and do me a solid. But yeah, this character is also up a level, and quite a bit as well. This thing is almost 263, almost up 2 full levels. And this is mostly because of the otherworldly sun generators that we've been getting from Tiernog and the Tiernog hashtag, which has given this character a lot of XP for actually doing nothing. And it's also because today is technically Sunday. Well, it is Sunday as I was recording this, but I was farming when it was technically Sunday. And this Sunday's specific effect increases the XP that you get from runes and decreases its cooldown, which made every single farming session that I've had yesterday very effective. And Monster Park Extreme obviously goes very insane on a level 260 character, so a whole week of that has given this character a lot of XP. So that's kind of where we're at with the Khali. We are working towards C10. This character does hit 21 mil, and it is just scratching the surface of a Chaos Gloom solo. And I think after 5, 10, 15, assuming I don't get entirely unlucky, it should be possible on this character, considering that I have a lot of items to 17 and a lot of new items to equip. This character has 2 out of 5 set arcane, so I'm hoping to have the full 5 set by 5, 10, 15. If I get an arcane weapon drop, that will be absolutely massive for this character, because I wouldn't mind forking up the extra money to buy the other 2 pieces, because I have lucid droplets. And the reason why it's not bad to buy lucid pieces in this case is because as I'm progressing towards arcanes on this character and my other characters as well, especially the lucid pieces, you know that you're going to need spares in the future. You're not just going to instantly hit 22. So using the droplets to get my pieces earlier so that I can clear bosses will basically refund the money that I lost on droplets, get me my own priority for bosses, and is using up the spares that I will eventually use anyways. Because any sort of boxes that I get in the future will just turn into a spare rather than I need to fill out a specific slot in my inventory. So that's kind of the mindset I'm going at it with right now. If I get the weapon, then I will buy the other 2 pieces. If I don't, I'll kind of just get these arcanes to 17 and equip them, because it will be better than my Absos. I am specifically leaving my Absos on this character at 10 stars because of the early Roar 4 pull. Because this thing has an early Roar 4, this character is actually a lot stronger than it looks. Roar 4 for a very burst heavy class really makes this character a lot stronger than it seems. Hence why I'm actually almost able to solo Sea Gloom at basically 20 mil combat power. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Khali. Kind of in an awkward spot. It's usually the wall that you hit when you're 260, but once you break through it, then you finally start enhancing things and you break through that wall. The game starts to become a lot more enjoyable because you're not stuck in a spot where you're looking for parties or trying to like wiggle your way into things that'll help you progress. So that's pretty much it. We will soon be over it, but for now, Khali's in a weird spot, and we'll try to get damage through farming and through other means as best as we can. Okay, so here we are on the dual blade. As you can see, it has new drip. Drip is very important for endgame progression and will actually increase your damage by 300% if your drip is proper and immaculate. All jokes aside, I have made a statement on this character. Now, last week I said that I wasn't really sure about progressing the DB. And that statement was true in the time frame of last week, but as time went on, some of my friends decided to do a group progression on some of their newer characters, and they wanted a character that was 3 minutes. Now, I could have gone ahead and continued with my buck, but the reason why I didn't want to do my buck is because of how painful it is to farm on that class. So, I ended up deciding that Dual Blade is going to be the next character after the Khali. We're going to be going from one thief to the next. And as a sign of commitment, I dumped 500 nodes into this character. As you can see, the 5th job is actually decently leveled. Got a lot of levels into Blade Tornado and Blade Tempest especially. The boosts are starting to get up there, but Dual Blade does struggle with this sort of thing. Because it has so many boost nodes. These Nexon fix this. Why is this still a thing? Half these abilities are worthless. But yeah, because I decided to play on my Dual Blade, I did not like the outfit of the character, so I decided to switch it up. And I also ran Hard Lotus and Damien on a party on this character, and we got a weapon drop. We got a weapon drop and an armor drop from Damien. Means that we now do have an Absolab weapon on this character, and we got an Absolab cape. And with the rest of the cores that I had on this character, I decided to just grind the rest by doing the weeklies. So this character is now also 5-set Absolab. This character, unironically, is relatively strong and real, and I'm starting to do dailies on this character to get its Arcane Force up as we're nearing Khali's end of Arcane Force dailies. More time is opening up, especially considering that even the Marksman's dailies are done, and I don't have to deal with Ride or Die anymore. I have a lot more time, and I've been allocating that time to get dailies done on the Dual Blade, including Monster Park, which is why this character has leveled up 8 times in the matter of 1 week. Tier Nog obviously helped with this. The 3000 XP vouchers go absolutely bonkers. And yeah. Through events and stuff, we've kind of gotten some base flames on the Absos as well. And this character kind of has some equips, like it is real. That's not the right button. This character's combat power hits 8.5 mil when it's fully decked out. Granted, though, this is a Dual Blade, so take that with a grain of salt. Dual Blade's combat power is generally inflated because of the stats and stars that it gets on its secondary, which, actual class balancing wise, accounts for this sort of thing, whereas combat power doesn't. So I would say that this character is pretty much in the realm between 6 and 7 mil combat power. but it is comfortably able to solo Lotus and Damien. I am able to do Lotus within 3 minutes, an okay amount of buffs, which means that this character can start doing hard Lotus, hard Damien in a party, and even hard Lucid. Granted, hard Will is not possible because of its level and because of its arcane symbols, which is another reason why I want to focus on this thing's dailies, because if I do happen to get an arcane box on this character, huge improvements for this character as well as it approaches 260. If I can get an arcane weapon as I get into Cernium, that is so much damage against monsters that I wouldn't have had otherwise if I wasn't going through the motions on this character. But I don't know. I can say another reason why I chose the dual blade is also because I am relatively comfortable in this class. I know the farming route even without the negative 4-second hat, which is something I do eventually want to see this character get. But for now, obviously with all the events and star forcing that I need to do, we have to put out on, or we have to push out any sort of potentialing, at least for now. Because prior to this dual blade, obviously I leveled up a dual blade pretty much all the way to 275 without the 4-second hat. And we're kind of just gonna run it back and do it again. And I do have a group that I am progressing with, a mix of new players and old friends, and just having a good time. So we'll see where this dual blade ends up in a few weeks' time. It's time for the lightning round. Bowmaster has gotten 1 level, and nothing has really changed equip-wise. The only thing that I'm actually going for on this character is the Absolab pieces, starting to get the big cores, which is also why I started running the weeklies, because I want these characters to start clearing at least normal Lotus and Damien comfortably, and in order for me to do that, I need the damage that comes from the Absolab gear. The Absolab gear will give this character a lot of damage, which will obviously make normal Lotus and Damien comfortable. Because it's 235, it has unlocked the Sphera, and I've used Champion Burning to at least get its Arcane Force up a little bit, and I've done a tiny bit of dailies on it. And the Buccaneer hasn't really changed, it's still level 235. Has a little bit of symbols. I should be putting a little bit into a Sphera to at least get it started so that its Arcane Force isn't so low. But same spot as the Bowmaster, where I'm just trying to get its cores from normal Lotus and Damien so that I can get its Absos, and my clears will be a little more comfortable. Alright, so I'm actually back on the Marksman, because there's actually one more thing I wanted to touch on before I go. You know, I'm saving the best for last, and by saving the best for last, I mean the most painful, because I really don't know how to feel about this, and I think going forward, how I'm going to approach this in particular is very straightforward. Now that my Bowmaster and my Dual Blade actually have some levels tacked onto them, getting the double up points from Champion Double Up actually doesn't really get these characters that much XP anymore. So going forward, even though it is by technicality more efficient to farm on my Marksman, the issue is because I don't want to push over 275, farming an Arcus doesn't really get this character that much XP, which is kind of why I want to farm on the Khali instead, because the XP is a lot more valuable on that character than it is on this character. Even considering the double up, 100,000 points on a character that's 235 is maybe gonna get it a level and a half, which is, as much as I hate to say it, a few dailies at the most. Which is why going forward, I'm pretty much only gonna be just checking in, getting my 2,500 coins, and seeing what I can do with it on the specific characters. And the reason why I'm approaching it like this is because I personally find the champion challenge to actually be more beneficial going forward. If I can get the 50 Abyssal Flames from Hard Varus by actually soloing it on my Khali, that would be massive. And getting the coins from soloing these bosses on my Khali will get more flames and more sacred symbols on the characters that actually need them, right? This is an alternative of actually getting sacred symbols without sacrificing any of the coupons from Tirnog, which I think is a much more effective way of approaching sacred symbols going forward. Because as you can see, for example, if my Khali hits level 265, I can buy 150 Arcus symbols for 1,500 coins, which in the grand scheme of things is not even that much because I'm only giving up maybe a few hundred flames, but my account isn't really in desperate need of flames because the flames on a lot of these characters are good enough and hard to really find improvement on. For example, my CRA pants is 60 and 6. Going higher than that is going to be relatively hard. 68 and 5, same thing here. And this is kind of the pattern with a lot of my characters, even my Cannoneer. If anything, my Cannoneer has better flames than my Marksman. And I'd say that my Marksman already has good flames. 85 and 6 on the Arcane, 85 and 5, 79 and 6, so on and so forth, right? So I would say that it is quite difficult for me to actually improve using flames. But improving through sacred symbols is kind of a no-brainer here. I have also tried using circulators, of course, try to maximize this, but it hasn't really turned out the best. And Karma Bright Cubes are, I'm not gonna lie, a scam, to say the least. They're not really that good. But this is where the gold mine is, I would say. If I could even get the Shangri-La symbols for the Marksman, this might even be a solid boost, but personally, I'm not too intrigued by it because 70 symbols on this character is 4.5 days worth of dailies for 1,400 coins. I would personally rather be buying the lower level symbols. Like, especially Arcus, I think is super high value because it goes at the same speed as Shangri-La, but it is a lot less coins, and you can buy a lot more. Which means that if I ever do have an excess amount of symbol selectors, I can put those on Shangri-La because symbol selectors don't change based on the region, whereas as you can see for the coins here, Arcus is a lot more effective than Shangri-La. Right? That's all the yapping I've got for this, I promise. No more. That I just wanted to talk about champion burning because I think it is at least interesting to talk about. Considering that I can't really get any more benefit out of the double up going forward. Especially considering that I have put dailies on these characters to get them XP. And that is basically just more effective than actually grinding out the 100k mobs on this specific character. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Main goals for right now, 5, 10, 15. That's what we have our sights set on. That's what's going to either make or break my account. If I can get farming on the Khali, even if it is without XP coupons so that I can garner a large amount of mesos, I think that will do me a lot of justice going forward, especially considering that my Khali still has a lot of equips that are 10 stars, and my Marksman still has equips that are 17 stars, so if I can push these characters to their next thresholds, I'll be able to start progressing a lot faster on the Khali and just the account in general. Now granted, when I do Star Force these characters and I do start pushing them to the next level, there's gonna be less and less time for farming, so leveling might start to get a little more difficult. But in terms of the meso that I'm making, that will make the character stronger a lot faster, which means that eventually further down the line, because I'm getting stronger, the time for bosses will just shrink over time, which means that I will eventually reclaim my space to farm again, especially after I start finishing dailies as well. Cernium dailies is a big one. Arcane dailies on the Khali. Any sort of arcane dailies. I have 6 sets of arcane dailies that I eventually have to finish. We have 2 done. We're almost done the 3rd, and we still have 3 more. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And remember to like, comment, and sub, or I will literally delete your mesos faster than buying flames in event shops. And yeah, that'll be it. Much love. Take care.